the paradox of loss. Sometimes, the people who leave your life are not taken away from you. They are taken for you. And that truth, at first, can hurt so much you can barely breathe. Because when someone disappears, when a connection fades, when a relationship quietly dissolves without a clear explanation, your mind doesn't call it alignment. It calls it rejection, abandonment, failure. You begin to wonder what you did wrong, what you should have said differently, what kind of person you should have been. But here is the paradox your soul has known for a long time. Not every ending is a punishment. Some endings are instructions, and some departures happen not because you are losing your way, but because finally you are stepping exactly onto your path. If you are here right now, hearing these words, feeling the echo of someone who is no longer beside you, pause, because this message has found you at a very precise moment, not to dig into the wound again, but to reveal the meaning behind it when connections slowly dissolve. There's a kind of pain that doesn't come with betrayal or a violent collapse. It arrives very softly, a slow drifting apart, fewer messages, longer silences, energy that no longer meets in the middle. People you used to talk to every day become strangers you still find yourself thinking about. Relationships that once felt so important now carry a feeling of heaviness, out of sync, tense in a way you can't even name. And what is the hardest part? Nothing is clearly wrong. No villain, no dramatic ending, no specific reason you can point to and say, that's the cause. So you replay every conversation. You analyze every sentence you said. You wonder if you demanded too much, or became too silent, or changed in a way they couldn't keep up with. You feel guilty for having grown up, and you grieve the loss of who you used to be when you were with them. You tell yourself you should be grateful, that others have it worse, that life is just like that. But at night, when everything is quiet, your chest still feels empty. And the question returns, why did they have to leave? Why does this happen? There is a truth that is obvious, but brutally so. The universe is not an indulgent mother, one who prioritizes your comfort. It prioritizes coherence. Imagine the universe as a brilliant conductor. It doesn't care whether the music is easy to listen to. It only cares that every note sits exactly where it belongs. Each chapter of your life is a symphony with its own distinct frequency. The way you interpret pain, the way you touch the world, the way you define happiness. People do not enter your life through blind coincidence. The universe sends them, precise, like a key finding the right lock, based on the very level your soul is operating on in that season. They're people who come to help you survive, like the friends who walked with you through years of scarcity, sharing a piece of bread, teaching you how to stay resilient in the face of hardship. There are people who are mirrors reflecting wounds, a toxic boss or a controlling lover. They appear so you can finally see the injuries that haven't healed, the broken pieces you deliberately tried to hide. There are people who are teachers of boundaries. They push you to the very edge of endurance, forcing you to finally say, enough, so you learn how to protect yourself. And there are people who arrive only to remind you, you are no longer who you used to be. But you have to understand this. Very few people hold a ticket to travel with you into the next version of yourself. When you begin an inner shift, even if it's only a small ripple in consciousness, your core values pivot. Your nervous system can no longer tolerate meaningless noise. Your tolerance for misalignment becomes more fragile than ever. And then, what once felt like a safe zone suddenly becomes suffocating and exhausting. Not because the other person is wrong, but because that connection has run out of nutrients to nourish the new person you are becoming. At that point, the universe moves with a precision that feels ruthless, yet filled with compassion. It begins to clean up, to create space. It does not use violence. It uses silence. People suddenly grow distant without a clear reason. Plans you cared deeply about suddenly collapse into thin air. Random disruptions intervene and the two of you split onto different paths. You stand in the rubble of relationships and plans, and you call it loss. You blame the universe for taking away what was familiar. But through the eyes of the universe, the architect shaping and refining your life, that is not loss. That is preparation. The universe knows. To receive a nobler melody, your hands must release the instruments that have become outdated. It creates space not to abandon you in loneliness, but to make room for new connections. People who will meet you at the frequency of maturity, wisdom, and true love. Do not fear the emptiness. That is the moment the universe is holding its breath, waiting for you to be ready for a more radiant chapter. Seeing the pattern, imagine your life as a river. In certain stretches, the river must narrow before it can rush faster. Rocks appear, branches block the way, water backs up. From the inside, it feels like resistance, but from above, it's redirection. Or think of the moon. It does not disappear when it enters its dark phase. It only changes how it is seen. What you are experiencing is not abandonment. It is a phase shift, a recalibration of orbit. Some people were only meant to walk beside you at dawn, not at midnight. Some people came to teach you something about love, not to be love's final destination. And when their role is complete, the connection fades, not because it lacked meaning, but because it fulfilled its mission, from loss to alignment. This is the shift that changes everything. Stop asking, why did they leave me? And begin asking, which version of me did this connection belong to? Who were you when they entered your life? What were you learning then? What were you healing? What were you afraid to face alone? You will often realize that relationship fit a version of you that no longer exists. And to keep it alive, you would have to go backward, dim your light, betray your own growth. Alignment asks something bold of you, to trust that what leaves is creating space for what can finally stay. What changes? When you trust, when you stop chasing what has already ended, a miracle begins to happen. Your energy settles. You no longer sweep your eyes across every room, wondering who will leave next. You no longer have to over-explain yourself just to be understood. You no longer negotiate your truth just to keep the peace. And in that stillness, new signals appear. You feel lighter, quieter, more present. You begin attracting people who don't require you to translate yourself. People who meet you exactly where you stand, not where you used to stand. Connections become simpler, clearer, mutual, and you realize something profound. The ones who left did not take love with them. They cleared the way for it when sadness returns. That's the truth. Just because your mind understands the reason doesn't mean your heart will immediately stop hurting. Insight can liberate the soul, but it cannot erase memory. There will be nights when sadness arrives and sits beside your bed like an uninvited guest. You will miss them painfully. But stay calm, because that doesn't mean they were destined to stay. It simply means they were once flesh and blood in your journey. Sadness is not evidence that the universe was wrong. It is not a system error or a failure of healing. See sadness as a witness. It proves you have a living heart, capable of deep connection and able to cherish beauty. Because if you could not feel pain, you would never learn how to love. The universe teaches you how to face this guest named sadness. Allow yourself to feel it without blaming yourself for being weak. Allow yourself to remember, but never reopen the door that has been closed. Respect what once existed, but do not try to resurrect the corpse. Some relationships are most beautiful when they rest quietly in the past. Trying to drag them into the present only ruins the beauty of what was and muddies the flow of who you are becoming. Because alignment does not require you to become numb or lose your memory. The universe asks only this: keep moving forward, keep the lessons, but leave the excess baggage behind. It wants you to walk with a lighter heart, not shoulders weighed down by the ghosts of yesterday. The past is a museum to visit and reflect, not a house to live in forever. The quiet miracle of empty space. After clearing away old connections, the universe gives you a strange gift, one that can feel frightening: emptiness. This is what empty space offers, a miracle that constant, noisy connection can never provide. It forces you to see yourself when there is no mirror beside you. Imagine that for so long, your portrait has been painted by your parents' expectations, your lover's needs, and the roles you played at work. Empty space arrives like a silent sculptor, peeling away every one of those masks. No roles, no expectations, only the raw essence of you in the stillness of the dark. In the absence of familiar energies that have clung to you for so long, your true frequency begins to vibrate again. It is like the noise of the city fades, and suddenly you can hear your own heartbeat or the sound of a stream running deep within your soul. And only that original frequency has the power to call in the next chapter of your life. The universe operates by a logic that is profoundly fair. You do not attract by chasing. When you chase something, you are broadcasting the frequency of lack. Instead, you attract by becoming coherent. If you want a love that is free, you must become free within yourself first. If you want an abundant life, you must feel whole even while you are inside empty space. And this coherence always needs a pause. Like a song needs silence to create rhythm. Like a room must be cleared of old furniture before there is space for something refined. Empty space is not abandonment. The universe is keeping the cleanest, quietest space for you, so you can realign with yourself before it sends you what matches your new level. They had to go. If someone is leaving your life right now, hear this clearly. You are not being punished. You are being aligned. You are not losing support. You are losing interference. You are not being abandoned. You are being redirected toward relationships that do not require you to become smaller. Some people had to go so your life could expand. Some connections had to end so your soul could breathe. And one day, not today, but one day, you will look back with a calm heart and understand. They were not taken away from you. They were released at exactly the right time. So take a deep breath. Let your shoulders soften. You are not late. You are not broken. You are not alone. You are in the space before alignment. And if these words touched you, if something inside you felt understood, like and subscribe, not for the algorithm, but for your own alignment. Because reminders like this do not arrive randomly. They arrive when you are ready to trust what is opening. Your next chapter has already begun to find you.